Glad to be here. Great time for your first introduction with the players. From a coaching standpoint, our personnel guys obviously have met all these guys and know about them. But for the coaching staff, that's the best part of this, is to be able to come down here and have a chance to talk to the kids and again get that first impression of it. So with that, time's yours.
Andy, you worked with John Spytek in Philadelphia, and now you guys are division rivals. What do you think he's going to bring to the team?
Yeah, John's a sharp guy, smart guy, hard worker. And he's an honest person. So he'll bring a certain stability there for sure. And he's a good talent evaluator, which becomes important for all the coaches and for the organization and success there.
Coach, considering the performance of the Super Bowl, how will that affect the Chiefs' approach to the offensive line this offseason?
Yeah, so we try to look at everything. Having just finished here a little bit ago, we're going through that whole process. And so we'll try to improve just in general as a football team. That'll be one of the spots we look at, so for sure.
The biggest win at the end? Are there any thoughts of moving, changing Coach Andy from his role, or rotating different mixes of players down the stretch of the playoffs?
Yeah, Joe's a natural guard center. I mean, that's really what his position was. By the graciousness of his heart, he stepped out and played tackle for us, and what a job he did. So, but I think you move him back inside, and he does it goes back to what he does best. Go ahead.
The biggest win the NIL era now that you've had a few years into it, and the accompanying transfers that it's produced. How does that change how you sort of evaluate on a case-by-case basis players you're talking about?
Yeah, well, in some cases, it's allowed the player to stay in college longer, or at least enticed them to stay in longer. And then the fact that they've moved around into different situations, I don't think necessarily hurts them when they jump to this level. And it gives us a chance maybe to see them in a little different environment and scheme. Yeah.
Coach, there's a lot of talk about the age of some players in the draft. And piggybacking off that question, how big of a factor is a player's age relative to their mid-20s versus early 20s? Does that matter by position, or is that across the board?
Yeah, no, you look at that. I came from BYU where kids go on missions for a couple of years, and people go, well, they're too old. Well, then they come in and they do a pretty good job. So, and really, if you start taking averages of career length, there's maybe a cutoff somewhere, but the careers aren't very long as it is when the guys go. But we do look at that, though. Yes, we look at it.
Coach, you mentioned potentially sliding. How you doing?
Good, Herbie.
Sliding Joe Tooney back to the guard. How safe is it to say the starting left tackle for 2025 is on the current roster, or are you looking towards the draft?
Yeah, we're keeping everything wide open there, Herbie, as we do this thing, and really digging in on what's available potentially in free agent, what's available in the draft, and it's probably too early to really go there. But that's a position that we're looking at for sure.
Any update on Chris Jones at the knee?
Yeah, he's doing good. Yeah, he's doing good. We don't have to play tomorrow, but he's doing good.
Andy, just we didn't talk too much. That's just your biggest takeaway
from the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was a bad day to have a bad day, for sure. Like all games, you can learn some things from it. It hurts for a few days, and then you move on quickly. So you get about 3 days into it, and you mope around a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're on to free agency, and you're doing your thing. Players have left the building and taking a little time off, so they curb it back to the next year, and we're fortunate to have enough nucleus of good players that will be joining us and giving us an opportunity to have a productive 25 season and still compete.
What do you think you can learn from it?
Well, again, we didn't play very well in certain areas. Didn't and really coach very well. So, and that starts with me. So I'm trying to give the guys an opportunity to be put in the best position. I didn't get that accomplished, and so you go back and you figure out the whys of that, and then you try to straighten that out and make sure that you can get the guys in the right position to do their thing.
What's the balance between winning that game versus the 19?
Sure, it is one game, and things it can go either way in those things. I mean, it seems to me that they're either real tight or there's a pretty decent separation, and we had things uncharacteristically that we did or put in position to do, and so I give them credit, but I weigh the whole season. I'm not just sticking with the one game. That's not how I go. I mean, just the fact that there are a couple ways you can take it, but just the fact that you had an opportunity and privilege to play in that game, well, it was quite an honor and a lot of hard work for our players to get to that point. And maybe that's why nobody's won 3 in a row. It's a tremendous challenge. But the fact that the guys bear down and were able to get into that position, there's a part of that that I compliment them on. Yeah, Sam, I think what you have to do is if everybody can understand that they were a piece of the problem and then fix that problem. If you're willing to admit that and put it out there, then you have a chance. If guys are pointing, hey, it was Sam's fault, now there's an issue there, right? So take accountability and try to better ourselves jointly. Let's try to better ourselves, and you have a chance to be productive the next year.
As you were with Howie Roseman when he was fresh out of college, what do you think of the job that he's been able to do as general manager of the Eagles, winning the Super Bowl? How's he grown as a player development?
Yeah, I mentioned this before the game during that week down in New Orleans that I think Howie's done a great job. It's very hard to be able to sustain over the years that that they have. So the fact that he's done that and been able to retool and bring in the quality of players that they've done, hats off to him. He's done a nice job there. And that's not taking anything away from Brett Veach. I'm not saying that. That's not. Brett's done a phenomenal job too. But you asked me about Howie there.
What do you get out of coming to the combine every year? What do you get out of being here?
Yeah, probably most of all just having a chance to meet the player. And then there's some things that, like baseball, that you try to keep consistent, that you like seeing the 40-yard dash on this turf, right, with it marked off the way it's marked off, with the timing and the timers that are there. So those type of things that are kind of universal exercise you like to see the guys do to compare. But the biggest thing is just getting them there. The general managers will tell you the physical part of it, that taking the physical is a big part of it. And that's kind of how this whole thing started, getting the guys where they can, one shot, you got them all. So that's a positive.
Have you had any conversations with Travis Kelce? Has he indicated anything to you about his future?
Yeah, so I did, and that's up to Travis. At this point, you get out of town and relax. That's kind of my motto for these guys. They played a lot of games and a lot of for a consistent amount of seasons here, and so you get to the end of the thing, you've exhausted yourself mentally and physically. Step back and take care of that. Then we'll talk. So. But for right now, I think that's what he's doing, and he and I will get together. Now, listen, I had exit meetings with all the guys, so before they left, so we did have a chance to talk to answer your initial question.
Coach, your team.
When you're evaluating
All right.
players, how much influence does actual scheme, style of play influence what you think a player could be playing alongside Patrick?
Yeah, well, you try to fit that in for sure, but that's all part of trying to bring the best people in that you can for your team. You can't help but try to figure out how the pieces fit in the puzzle there, and we'll work together, and then inevitably complement one another and win games for you.
Your team did such a good job on Tush in the AC Championship, but there's a lot of debate on the play itself. What do you think about the play itself?
Yeah, listen, I understand how it can go both ways. I think it takes certain players to be able to do that, and that's not an easy thing for the center. I was close to their center, so I know that's not an easy thing to do. And my hat goes off to them for making it as consistent as they are doing it. Now, there are other things you have to look at. You got to look at the injuries that take place, or whatever the other deals are that they evaluate on it. So I don't have all that information, but I mean, it's a heck of a play. I know that.
How much during your career have you seen quarterbacks using their voice and kind of that being incorporated with the coaching staff?
Yeah, no. You obviously keep communication open if comfortable doing that. With Pat, we're able to talk and try to keep him informed on things. He doesn't have to make the decision. That's not. He knows all that. He's not in there feeling like he's got to jump up and hire the president of the organization. That's not how he rolls. But for sure, we try to keep him. Brett and I try to keep him informed and on changes that take place. Yeah.
How you construct your coaching staff? Has your philosophy evolved on the number or the specific types of roles that you
I would tell you yes. There are a lot more coaches now than when I first started. You didn't have the same number of coaches on a staff. Maybe a little bit like medicine, where you're just specific to this one area, and I think that you're seeing more of that in the coaching world, where it's maybe not tight ends, offensive line. That maybe it's not a combination. It's just tight ends, and then you have an assistant offensive line coach. So most teams have two of them, and defensive line's kind of the same way. Maybe it's the defensive ends and the defensive tackles, and you split that up. So secondary is the same way. So yeah, there's a lot of, and then you have the worker bees in there, the quality control guys, and you can have a number of those guys that are younger guys that are working their way up through, but there are a lot of areas that they can work on, especially the more technologies become available for you. Yeah, I think the game has grown. I had a chance to break down, I believe it was a 1958 game, first televised game with the Giants and whoever. And that was to see how simple the game was at that time. Number of plays, the quarterbacks calling the plays. I mean, we've progressed from there. And like I said, the more technologies become part of it, there are not a lot of secrets anymore. The more your error margin has got to be tiny. So, and sometimes that takes a number of people to do. Make sure you cover all the bases. Yeah.
What went into your 2 ads
House that wouldn't make sense, right? Because he had been with us, and we thought he was a great coach when he was with us. So we had an opportunity to bring him back here, and I lost a couple coaches too. So Donald moved on, and hats off to him, because he's a great kid, and he's going to be he's a great coach now, but he's going to be phenomenal as he goes forward. So this gave him a chance to take a step forward. And then Chris worked with us in training camp, and his brother's a defense coordinator for the Ravens, so he jumps in, and we felt great about him when he was with us this summer, and we were able to bring him back here. And now he's a young guy that's going to be in a quality control position, but he'll do a nice job for us.
Andy, the Bears added Eric Bieniemy as the
Yeah, well, he's a phenomenal football coach, period. I mean, I've stood up here, right here, and said he should be a head coach in this league, so I haven't changed on that. He was a good running back, a great running back coach for us, and a great coordinator for us. And from a running, you asked me about the running back part of it. I had him as a player and as a coach, and he's very demanding on the guys, very thorough, but loves them up at the same time. So all the guys he touched became the best they could be and maximize their potential when they were under him. Great football coach, and he's got that stability, and he's got the record to go with that. So he's going to come in with cred, and I think the players will listen to him, and he's going to bring a heck of a defensive scheme and offensive scheme with him. So. Last one. Say it again. Yeah, it looks like the defense is fully loaded here. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of defensive. It looks like a defensive strong draft. Not that there are not going to be some great offensive guys, but it really looks like it's strong on the defensive side. Yeah, good. All right.